All right. Good morning and good afternoon. Kasha Stevenson with Sierra Pacific Mortgage. Super excited to welcome you guys today's edition of Social Media University. Everyone here on the phone probably has one goal in mind, and that's to be successful on social media. And this is what today's call is all about. Excited to take a deeper dive with you guys in Instagram today. So we're going to be talking about Instagram. We're going to be talking about tangible takeaways that you actually can work on immediately. Without further ado, I do want to recognize and introduce our special guest, Arjun Dhingra. Arjun's been in the industry for over 20 years, and he's been simply killing it on social media as a content creator and influencer. Welcome, Arjun. Thank you for joining us today.
Anytime, Kasha. I get to spend more time with you guys, which is my second employer, I feel. So yeah, it's like another day at the office.
Exactly. We love having you. So, Arjun, before we get started today, I kind of wanted to address an elephant in the room because I know it's on everybody's mind.
Yeah,
If I'm going to spend all this time to create content and videos on social media, does it actually work? Does it work for you?
short answer is yes. Long answer is it takes time and it'll work for everyone. But a lot of what we're going to get into today is the consistency, the action that you have to take with it, and you have to treat it like something that is a true business development strategy, but it's really more of a relationship tool. But yes, it absolutely does. In the beginning, and I'll share certain stories with everyone, and even because I'm always an open book with it, those of you that know me, and it's great to see everybody again, even though we can't see you, but you can see us. I made a lot of mistakes in the very early going with this stuff, and it took some time to kind of figure that out. A lot of that I'll share today, but Kasha, you can always ask me at any point as we're going through this because I want this to be very beneficial. This will be a little different than what we've done in the past, too, guys. We're going to get tactical like right away. We've sat together and you guys have had great contributors that are part of this really, really cool concept that your company exclusively has. Like there isn't another mortgage company out there that does this. So big kudos to you, Kasha, and your whole team, Jess, and everyone else that you actually make this effort to do it. But we're going to get pretty tactical like right away. So I hope everyone has like pens and papers out to take some notes or use your phone. And we're going to actually run through a few exercises with it. But, you know, to your question, Kasha, made some mistakes with it. I'm actually, ironically, I've got a $4 million purchase. It's 50 LTV. So it's a $2 million loan that's closing tomorrow that I got from Instagram. These people
Wow.
found me on Instagram about a year ago. They were business owners. I went by their business. I found their business. It was a gym. And I found their business on Instagram and saw that they were trying to put out a lot of great promotional material. I would constantly comment and be encouraging because I love fitness too and gyms. And I thought about going. I've yet to go in. It's been a year. I haven't gone into this gym, but I made friends because of that with the two owners who were managing the account. And they saw all the content I was putting out in the mortgage space. They, with a family of 3 kids, were in the need of a bigger house. And they've been searching for a while. So it's taken some time. But within actually pretty short time, because they've been working with me for about a year and we met about a year ago. So it happened almost immediately that they turned around and like, you're a mortgage guy. Like we actually need to kind of figure this out. So what started off as just some DMs being exchanged, got to Zoom, got to some in-person meetings, and now they're going to be closing tomorrow. And so it absolutely can and will continue to work because this is how people are going to connect. This is where people go to look for information. And anybody can do this. It's not too late at all. It's a big thing that we'll focus on today. The time is now. And no one has missed out on anything or lost anything. We just want to make sure that we fine tune your strategies so that this can work for everybody.
That's awesome. So you basically paid nothing for that lead.
I paid nothing for it. It's time, guys. It is consistency because a lot of people object to this, like, this is another thing to do. You can look at it as another thing to do. And initially, because it's new and it's not part of your daily routine of emails or newsletters or phone calls or whatever your systematic approach is to keeping in touch with and connecting with new people. But eventually, you'll find that this kind of starts to enhance all the things that you're doing and could eventually replace it and then become the thing. So right now, it's easy to look at it as an extra thing. But eventually it will become the thing because you'll find it's taking all your existing strategies and putting them on steroids because you can do everything at scale. I can digitally connect with hundreds of people today, whereas it would take me all day to just do a small fraction of that if I was trying to physically do it, like stop by offices or knock on doors for the agents that are out there for this, or, actually try and meet with people in person. How many coffee meetings can you actually go to, right? We're already clearly over caffeinated as a society. Like you can't do so many of those, but this is just a way to scale all of those efforts.
So this is an active marketing strategy that you have to actually plan and put into place and be consistent with, is what I'm hearing. And you have to be committed. Um, it cannot just be a supplement here and there. You're just deciding to show up. Is that is that what you're telling me?
That's
Yeah.
it. You got to do it. And don't expect anything in return with this, guys. Like building a brand, having an online presence, like this is a privilege. I think sometimes people do it with this expectation that if I just put out something, it should work. And therefore, if it doesn't, therefore it's the platform's fault, or people are stupid. Clients are dumb. They're not connecting with me. Nobody wants to do bit, like it doesn't work. It's working. It's transforming businesses. Those of you that know my story, and I know so many of you so well because I have the privilege of being around with you guys, not only virtually like this, but actually in person at some of your events. But I mean, I almost quit the industry. I was ready to quit it 6 years ago, right? And I was 16 or 17 years into it at that point, right? But I was ready to walk away because I was so dismissed. I was tired of being looked at as just a rate or just a lone servant that was going to be on call to answer my phone 24 hours a day. I'm always there for you. Like all the things that we sometimes start off doing as service providers, whether you're an agent or a lender. And it's not actually the right, it wasn't the right posture. So I was ready to quit. This is pretty much what saved my business. It reinvigorated my, appetite and excitement and enthusiasm and just curiosity to learn and get better. And ultimately, all of this stuff, guys, we're going to talk about a lot of things, and I'm going to try and go really, really specific and deep on just a few key topics so that everyone gets some takeaways. But at the end of the day, all of this stuff makes us better at our craft, which is something we should all be doing every day. Anyways, if we're getting better at our business, talking about it, promoting it, discussing the market, answering questions, dispelling myths, what's wrong with that? How is that ever considered a waste of time? That's something we're supposed to be doing anyways. But if you can just do it in a way that enhances your communication strategy, your outreach strategy, everything else that you're doing and connecting with people, how visible you are online, then it's all the better, right? So yeah, it's worth every bit of effort that you put into it, but it does take effort. It does take effort.
And one last thing, I know we've talked about this, but who should be engaging in social media as a strategy? I think you've talked about if you're going to be in the industry for the next 5 years
Yeah,
and 10
totally.
years.
It's a great point, Kasha. You and I talk about it a lot offline because we talk about the industry as a whole, right? Even though we might be at separate companies, like we see the market the same way, right? And I think if anybody on this call or on this webinar right now is not going to be or not seeing themselves in this industry beyond the next 5 years, then a lot of what we're talking about, guys, if anything, just outside of entertainment value, if you're just killing some time here, there's not much on this webinar that you need to worry about. Because if you're going to exit this industry, a lot of this doesn't matter. But if you plan on being in this industry for a while, beyond 5 years, you want to be here, you want to have staying power, you want to be respected, you want to be in command of the transaction the way we all feel we deserve to be, whether we're agents or lenders, then this stuff is not optional. It's absolutely paramount. Like we're in a market of trading for attention, right? Gary Vee came out with that great new book, Day Trading Attention. Like, I don't think there could be a better way to actually summarize all of it. The entire game is we're day trading attention. We're trading things for attention. We're trying to do things to leverage attention. And the more that we do this and the more effectively we can do it, the better off we're going to be, and we're going to have prolonged careers. So it's not optional, guys. It's the thing. We've all got to do it. There's lots of ways to go about it. I want to try and make this simple and narrow down so that people have some real takeaways and you can do something and implement it today. And yeah, whenever you're ready, Kasha, we can start to
Let's
get
go.
into it.
Yeah, let's
Yeah.
get it started.
Okay, so everybody did say, and please, guys, activate and utilize that Q&A button there. So if there's questions that pop up, and here's my promise to everyone, there's a high likelihood we won't get to all of them today. Kasha's going to try and filter some of these. If there's a great way to combine two questions because they're kind of talking about the same thing rather than ask it twice, she'll do that so that we can keep this moving and everyone gets the most benefit out of it. But all the questions that we don't get to or don't answer, I will work with your team and I'll record a quick Loom video with Kasha. She and I'll do it together and answer all the questions and email it out to you guys as just a quick like 5 or 7 minute link. Okay, that's a promise. So we will answer every question. It just may not be today. So throw them in there if you want it to get addressed at some point. Hopefully we'll get to it today, but if not, we'll definitely get to it. So everybody can see my slide, correct, Kasha? Yes?
No, not yet.
Okay, hold on one sec. How about now?
Yes,
Yes, okay.
we're all
Okay, good. I've said this quote a few times, guys, and again, in person or on virtuals, like, and this is something I really want everyone to adopt as a bit of a rally cry or just as a wake-up call, which is that if you don't do something, if you don't take the action, if you don't do that outreach, somebody else will. And it doesn't apply to just our everyday jobs here as real estate professionals. This is in everything. If you don't pick up the call or pick up the phone to reach out to that client, somebody else will probably connect with them. If you don't ask this person out, somebody else will. Those of you that are in completely unending, non-committal relationships and somebody's putting pressure on you to finally like take action here, if you don't ask this person to marry you, somebody else will. Like it applies to everything, literally out there. That if you don't do it, somebody else will. So I have this written down. It's all over my office. It's all over my home office as well. It's on my phone. It's just a reminder that whenever I feel tired, I don't want to do something, or I feel like I don't know if that's worth my time or whatever, I have to remind myself this very line. And I hope you guys take it to heart too, because I just want it to be used as a wake-up call for all of us. Kasha, you agree with it, yeah?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I don't, somebody else will. Okay, so guys, the opportunity, like I said earlier, it's not too late at all. The opportunity is massive right now because as good as it's ever been, I would start over even today. It wouldn't even matter. And I would just take a lot of the things that I've learned, the stuff that we're going to talk about here, stuff that I learned from so many of you as well, and just apply it right away. So nobody's missed the boat. If anything, the opportunity is even better now because I'll tell you, a lot of people have left our industry because of how difficult it's become, right? And challenging. And clearly they just weren't cut out for it, or it didn't work out. Maybe they worked for a company that wasn't supportive. Maybe they didn't have the tools. Maybe they were just transactional and they could only thrive in a COVID market. And now that this has become a real market, they just don't have the skin for it. So we've got decreased competition in the way of all of us that provide services, but you have more eyeballs and more people gravitating towards devices, going to websites like Zillow. 2 million people a day are obsessed with looking at real estate, right? People are cutting cable and subscribing to YouTube for TV. They're using streaming services, or they get all of their entertainment directly or their information directly off of their phones. So this is where all the eyeballs are. And I would prefer to be there as someone who's trying to get their attention and wave and say, hey, I do this for a living. I can help. I have solutions for you. I'd rather be where they are as opposed to sticking to the rooms they left or the rooms that are not going to have anyone in them anymore. So the opportunity is massive. Don't feel like you've missed anything. As far as platforms, guys, today we're going to specifically talk about Instagram. In a general sense, we're talking about anything that's short form. And short form includes Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, or YouTube Shorts. Facebook's kind of a little bit of a hybrid because you can do things that are a little bit longer form there if you want to, but I include it because Facebook and Instagram are obviously the same company. So we're going to focus on short form. But as far as platforms are concerned, for those of you that are in there, that are watching this now, you might be on all platforms. And it's my advice and encouragement that you try everything. If you're trying to figure out where to start with the platform you enjoy using the most. If you are completely a novice and you're like, okay, I've been coming to these, Sierra Pacific puts on these great social media universities. This is my 5th or 6th one. I'm going to finally do it today. Okay, I've heard enough. I'll take action. But where should I start? Pick the platform that you enjoy using the most. Easy, right? If you love Instagram, start there. If you love Facebook, start there. If you are a big LinkedIn fan, start there. Don't feel like you have to jump into all of them, but recognize that I'm encouraging you strongly and telling you at some point, hopefully sooner than later, you need to be on all of them. You need to be accessing and utilizing all of them. But today we're going to focus just kind of on short form. And then again, guys, all of this comes down to action, right? You'll get confidence by way of actual competence, and competence is going to come in the form of reps. The more reps you do, the more confident you'll feel, and then eventually you'll have confidence in doing it, but it's not going to happen unless you're taking deliberate and intentional action, just like you plan out some of your exercises that you have to do for your business development, your calls, your newsletters, whatever it is that you do systematically that is non-negotiable, it's going to require that type of commitment and consistency here in order to do the same. So let's go over, guys, what is not working right now. Let's first start with, it's not that it's negative. I just want to actually point out to people what you can basically drop or what you should avoid. So the one thing I will tell you that is not working is not doing anything, is sitting back and waiting for the market to change. If you're waiting for the market to change for whatever reason, maybe you're an agent and you're just hoping for more inventory. Maybe you're waiting for the election to happen because you think there'll be some clarity in terms of what way the economy goes. Maybe you're waiting for rates to get lower. Whatever you're waiting on is just a fool's errand. So sitting back and waiting for something and sitting on your hands for something else to change, not going to work. That's not working for anyone. It has not worked at all. I had conversations with people like, I need to wait and see what happens. And this was at the beginning of the year. We're now halfway through this year. I've checked in with a lot of those people. Very few, if any, transactions are getting done. There's still no action. And in my opinion, 6 months have been squandered that could have been focused on building some type of online presence, making an effort, reaching out to people, trying to fight for that attention. Because let's be honest, guys, when the market does shift, whatever a shift is, shifts can be multiple things. I don't mean get better. I look at every market as this is what I'm doing right now. This is where I'm focused. I don't call a market good or bad. They're all good markets because at the end of the day, we deal with housing, right? It's never going out of style. So we want to look at these things and just focus on them in the actual present and not necessarily get too far outside of them. Let's
Can
talk
I
about what, go ahead,
stop
Kasha.
you right there? So with your one, the success story you shared, the one of many, I'm sure, you said a year later, these clients bought a home. So it's
Yeah.
been a year, right? So you never know where people are and, whatever what's happening in their life. They may just start looking and it could take a year, it could take 6 months or whatever, but you are nurturing that relationship just like you do like through a CRM and send emails. This is social media, right? You're, showing your content, interacting with them, whatever it may look like, but it could take some time. So, I mean, I think that's a really great example of like, you've got to start now because you don't know what you'll get 6 months from now from it.
Right. And when we go back to that, it's a really good point you bring up, Kasha. When we go back to that whole 5-year window we were talking about, either 5 years or less or 5 years and beyond, people ask, like how do I know when it's starting to work aside from the transactions or whatever? Like, you have to remember, guys, for those of us that want to stay in this for beyond 5 years, I'm one of them, and I'm hopeful and assuming that many of you that are on this call today or this webinar are in that same boat. You're not creating content for someone who already knows you. The people who already know you, you create content and have an online presence and establish more of that visibility to solidify and really concrete in that relationship without having to constantly be a salesperson. Because up until that point, what are you doing to keep in touch with people? You send them a newsletter with cooking recipes or neighborhood gatherings that your company provided you, or a market update that is more complex than an economics class that they don't read, right? So this is a way of keeping in touch with people, staying on top of their life events when they're having children, when they're taking trips to the same countries you love. And now you find out you have that in common. Or, we're coming up on a political season, you're finding out who they support or who they don't support. Maybe you have that in common. Like these are ways to just connect with people and solidify existing relationships. But the real person that you're looking to do business with as a result of these efforts doesn't even know who you are. And I want that to sink in for a quick second. They don't know who you are. You create content, you have an online presence, you're creating this visibility for the client or the consumer that is going to do business with you 8, 10, or 12 months from now, as in my case, right? That was a nurture process. It took a little while. They did make some offers along the way. It was just hard because they're looking for a very specific type of house and a very, very tough price point here in the Bay Area, which is like so many other parts of the country. It's just been gridlocked. But I've had other clients on Instagram that have connected with me that either found me or we just connected on there, and it's taken a while. There's others that it was a little bit more immediate because they saw something that I put out or something I shared and they had an immediate need for it. We're going to talk about some of those things right now or coming up here in an upcoming slide. But that's why you guys are making content. I know we don't have a comment section, and I would ask, is that making sense? But I'll ask you, Kasha, since you're kind of my liaison here to the audience. But does that make sense? Like, this is why we do it.
Absolutely. I
Yeah.
think just reiterating, the reason why you choose to use this as a marketing strategy is important. And you have to have one, like you said, confidence in yourself to do it. But I think you're going to talk through strategies on what are going to make you successful here.
Exactly. That's what the whole thing is about. So again, what we do need to work on, guys, and again, what's not working is inaction. Inaction's not working, and bragging, talking about what we just sold, what we just listed, the President's Club we made, the amount of transactions I'm doing. Look, I'm all for people boosting their credibility and establishing ethos. That's important. But if that cannot be the premise of your brand or why someone ultimately is going to want to work with you. And some of you may argue and say, well, they want to work with people who get things done. Of course, certain degree of that. But if that is the entire premise of everything that you post and create and put out there about you, but I don't know anything about you as a human being, as a family member, a family person, a provider, a traveler, what hobbies you're into, what hobbies you're not into, then it's not going to do much for me. It's not compelling enough for me as a stranger to want to reach out and connect with you and want to learn more. You're just a transactionalist. And let's be honest, anybody can get what we all have to offer either online or go some other route. There has to be more of a compelling reason for people to work with us. So that type of content, that type of a strategy, which isn't really a strategy at all, is not working, and inaction, not working. So what we want to implement, consistency. We can talk a little bit about scheduling and stuff. Kasha, we can bring that up towards the end. Like, what's a good pattern of
Yeah.
how to be consistent and what to do? Action, like I said, guys, already ad nauseum. You have to do it. Text over image video concept, I'm gonna go over that with you guys, and we'll do that as an exercise, like to where everyone will actually get to do it today, and you could post something today in your actual feed or use it in your stories. And then news hacking. So these are two strategies that I'm implementing and using a lot that are working. Now, I told you we would just generally touch on all the platforms, but we're gonna focus on the top. Short form content, guys, again, those platforms that it's short, bite-sized. Think of it as something that you would digest while in an Uber to meet your friends for a happy hour. If you get into an Uber to go meet your friends for a happy hour and it's about a 5-minute ride, you're not getting on LinkedIn and scrolling. You're getting on Instagram, or you're on quickly on Facebook or TikTok, something that's quick hitting and fast. Short form content for everyone, whether you take a screenshot of this or a picture on your phone or just write it down, needs to do one of three things: help people avoid a mistake, save money, or make money. It needs to get right to the point. We're going to talk about some actual hooks that you guys can use. I'll give you some great examples today of stuff that I'm using. Because again, everything I'm sharing with you, I'm a student of, I practice it. I don't just preach it, I put it to work every day. And I'm an open book with all of it. Mid-form content, and the best example of mid-form as a platform would be LinkedIn. You can go a little longer. You don't necessarily have to go straight to the meat of the topic, because people go to LinkedIn with a high degree of intentionality. They want to sit down the way we all do. I'm sitting down at my desk. I need to actually do some like social media networking in a suit and tie. That's what we call LinkedIn, right? Whereas the other ones are so much more casual and quick hitting and fast scrolling. LinkedIn, I go there with some real purpose and intent, and I'll spend a little bit more time. So I can take anything I do short form and just elongate it by another 15 or 20 seconds. I'm not saying make it super long, but I can just go a little longer, add a sentence or two here and there, and it's going to be appropriately fit for LinkedIn. And then long form, which is YouTube, guys, or those of you that do mass media, if you're into it, like if you've got like an actual media channel or something like that, but YouTube is the easiest example. This is designed for you, or set up prime for you to educate people, to showcase things like properties or neighborhoods or areas or businesses, and then even doing collaborative work where you're sitting down and interviewing people or talking with them, like a sit down with the mayor of your town or a councilman about a new development. You want to create this and actually turn it into something. There's a much longer strategy and a bigger picture strategy, which we're not going to get into today, of how you can take something long form and then squeeze it down and work all the way backwards to mid form and short form by talking about one topic and then actually squeezing from that all the things that would fill in all the blanks here. But again, today we're going to focus on short form. And Kasha, would you say that most everyone that's part of our group and audience today has either a presence or some familiarity with short form stuff, particularly Instagram?
I would say yes. We do have some folks that do long form on LinkedIn and Facebook. But yes, I would say short form is probably the best to start with, because I think that's the less intimidating. We do have a question in here about
Yes.
short form. So is it ever appropriate to educate in short form?
Yes, absolutely. You can educate, you just got to get to the point. You can educate. If I go back up, guys, I'm educating you on how to make money. I'm educating you on how to save money. I'm educating you on how to avoid a mistake. They're all informant types of topics. You're being the informer and you're presenting this to people. So you can definitely educate. Now,
What
some
about,
of you might
go
go
ahead.
ahead.
I was going to say, can you give us like a breakdown?
Yeah,
So, what would you say short form is? Is it a minute? Is it 30 seconds? And what about mid form and long form?
sure. So short form allows, most of the platforms will allow for 90 seconds. I don't encourage anyone to really go into 90 seconds unless you've got a lot of built up credibility, right? It's just hard to hold people's attention that long. There's only a few industries that can do it. And it's obvious, right? I'm saying this and it's kind of funny, a little tongue in cheek, but like if you look at anything in the fitness industry, because we're attracted to and we see, first of all, we're seeing half naked people. So naturally the eye just wanders. But then if you see people who are really fit or doing something or travel, like you just get immersed, you get lost. And that's what we call like going down the rabbit hole. It's very difficult for someone to go down the rabbit hole when we're talking about FHA loans or we're talking about first time buyer programs or down payment assistance. So we have to be really brief. So I would say the sweet spot is 30 seconds or less. The more brief you are, the better. Now, you might ask, somebody may ask, well, how can you educate anyone in that? You're not trying to give everything away in the actual piece of content itself. You want to leave the door open for a conversation to have, or for you to elongate on it and say the same thing again in a different way next week or the week after. Keep driving that point home. Does that answer the question?
Yep. I think
Okay.
that's perfect.
Okay. Great question, by the way, but hopefully that clears it up. You're still educating, you're just doing it in a different way, and you're not giving away the whole syllabus, just a little bit, because you want to leave the door open for that opportunity. So all of the short form content, guys, that you put together has to have a structure. And that structure, whether it's 30 seconds, 15 seconds, 20 seconds, even if it's a minute, whatever it might be. Again, I don't encourage anyone to go the full 90 seconds unless you absolutely have to. But as you're trying things out, again, there's no perfect way to do this. And a lot of it is trial and error. You can go a little longer, but you'll find that more people will engage with your content if you get to the point faster, which ultimately means you're putting together something much shorter and concise as opposed to just going for a full 90 seconds or something close to that. But the three structural elements to this, you've got to slap people, or what's called the hook, meaning I slap your face like, hey, I'm slapping you. Stop what you're doing. Stop your scrolling. I'm slapping you across the mouth. Look at me. And that's what I call the grip, where you actually like grab them by the lapel or the shirt. Hey, I've got something for you. I need to tell you about this problem, or I need to tell you about this thing that's going on, or this thing that you need to be concerned about, right? Or this thing that is very confusing out there. That's the grip. And then I need to present. I need to present you either with a solution, my opinion, what's the answer? Maybe there's part two, whatever it is. So hook, problem, solution is how we simply refer to it. I call it slap. It's like a tongue twister if I say it too fast. Slap, grip, and present. Okay. Does that make sense, Kasha?
I think this is like probably the most important part of creating content. Like everybody should write this down because when
Yes.
you're thinking of generating content on social, this is exactly like if you don't have the hook, you're not going to stop the scroll. So you're going to create content, nobody's going to watch it. So this is really important. And I know you're going to get more into tangible takeaways and give them some hooks, but this is really like just think of yourself as you're scrolling through Instagram or like do you actually sit through and watch videos that are not interesting to you or don't grab your attention immediately?
Yeah.
No, I am like starting to really criticize people's content now because of this strategy. I'm like, oh, like, and I quickly scroll on. So keep that in mind when you're creating your own content. This is really important and probably the best thing you can take away today.
Once people have, this is again, Kosh, a really good point there. Once people have credibility established, you'll see that certain people who are very influential, they don't have to get into this type of a format because they already have your attention. They know when they say something, you're going to listen and they've
Yeah.
earned that with you, right? Because there's a lot of connection there, or it's a celebrity or an athlete that you love following. They don't have to have this. But for all of us who are trying to become influential and trying to exert some type of influence and effectiveness on these platforms, we have to have a structure because we have, I say we have to sing for our supper. We have to earn the right to get this attention. We can't just start speaking and then someone like, oh, this is an interesting thought leader. I really like his shirt. I'm going to stop and look at this. No, We have to get their attention very, very quick, which means, and this is a great way to kind of go segue into hooks, which we'll do in a slide or two. Can't remember if it's next or the one after. Never, ever, ever open a video introducing yourself. That's short form. Never. Hi, my name is Arjun Dhingra, and I'm with All Western Mortgage, and I wanted to talk to you today. About 6 words back, they already swiped past it. I don't care. First of all, I can't even pronounce that guy's name. I don't know what he just said. He might have had on a great shirt, but I don't give a shit. Like, I'm done. I'm past it, right? Like, it doesn't matter. So nobody needs to know who you are. They already know that from your actual
Profile.
your profile. And if you want them to get to know you more or figure out or get curious, it's better to have that element of mystery in there. And also, they all know that we do mortgages or sell houses or are involved in real estate, because that's likely what we're going to be talking about anyway. So you don't need to say, I'm a real estate agent of X number of years. Forget it. Just get right into it. Jump right into it. Okay. So again, hopefully you guys took a screenshot of this or just wrote this down. Hook, problem, solution, or slap, grip, and present. Okay. Present either the solution or your opinion.
I have another question for you.
Yes.
Would you announce who you are in a mid or a long form video?
I still wouldn't. No, because again, they have the opportunity to connect with you. Anyways, they already know it should be in your handle, like either your name or maybe you got something clever, like you're the unique lender or, you know,
Yeah.
Bay Area top, whatever it is. You can leave that open, and your name is going to be in your bio, right? Like that's very, very important for people to have in there, but I still wouldn't introduce myself. It just ends up eating up time and it's not necessary.
Yeah.
It's just not necessary.
Good advice. All right.
All right. Let's continue this. All right, a few hooks. Now I'm gonna break these down into some steps for you guys. These are slaps. Remember, I'm slapping you across the mouth or the face politely and saying, listen to me, right? How do I get people's attention? So this is one where, but these are like some of the, and I want everyone to write these down. So, or just jot them down. I'm gonna actually say them to you. I didn't want to have it as a actual screen because I wanted to make sure people were actually writing and doing something. I find it sticks with me better if I don't just take a picture of it and forget about it, but I actually write it down. So hopefully you've got a little planner out or some piece of paper. One set of hooks can be something that dispels something, right? Or clarifies something, or is providing context to something. So here's an example of a hook. Instead of getting into talking about FHA loans, maybe I'll actually spell that differently and get people to want to actually watch this by saying, here's a huge mistake when it comes to entering financing and thinking that you have to put down 20%. You don't have to, right? But when people hear that, here's a huge mistake, they're immediately drawn, as opposed to saying, I want to talk to you. Again, I didn't introduce myself. I listened to Arjun and Kasha. I didn't say my company name. I didn't say what I do, but I said, I would like to talk to you about FHA loans. They're still going to scroll by. That's not compelling enough. But if you tell somebody about, here's a huge mistake, and you say it with conviction, an assertive voice, not a passive voice, here's a huge mistake. No, here's a huge mistake. Notice I emphasized it. It's how I said it. I'm going to get a lot more attention. It may not stop every single person, and I'm not going to connect with every single person out there, but a lot more people are going to stop because they're like, what's the mistake? I'm curious. Yeah, what's the mistake? I don't want to, nobody wants to make a mistake. Subconsciously, if you hear that, you're like, I'm listening. I don't want to make a mistake today. I've already made 5 with my spouse. Like I'm in deep shit as it is. I'm treading carefully, right? So that's one way. Here is a huge mistake. That one's worked well for me if you guys write that down. Here is a huge mistake, okay? Another one. Instead of doing this, do this instead. Or come right out and say, do this instead when it comes to buying. Or do this instead when it comes to embarking on your home buying journey. Do this instead when it comes to fixing your credit, okay? Do this instead. When you say that again, directly to the camera, emphasis on this. Do this, not do this instead. Notice how that all stayed the same tone? Even if I said that high, do this instead. No, do this instead. It's all in the actual delivery. So it's what you say. It's also how you say it. Is this sticking, guys? I can't see anyone, so I'm assuming thumbs
No,
up.
I think it's great. I think you're emphasizing on the words that will, capture their attention.
Yeah, and the ones, Kasha, that we want them to pay attention to,
Yep.
right? Like I'm telling you, don't miss this one. So I'm going to say this one with a little more zest. Or put a little more emphasis on it and pause. Like notice my cane. Do this instead when it comes to this. Instead, do this instead when it comes to like, I'm just speeding right through it because I want to get this video over with.
Yeah.
Right? Take your time through it. So that's important. Stories are really great, guys, too, for how to dispel something. Okay. And you can say that. Here's an amazing story, or here's an incredibly inspiring story of how this family got into this. Like, people love inspiration. They love happy endings. They love joy. Like, there's enough negativity out there in the world, guys. Like, people are drawn towards optimism and light. So when you say that, here's a great story about this, that can stop people. Or, you want to hear how my client saved this much money? You want to hear how my client avoided a $100,000 mistake? Right? I'm providing context of a story. I'm talking about a mistake and a huge amount of money. I don't want to make $100,000 mistake. I'm going to listen, right? And this was from skipping maybe a certain inspection where they uncovered something that would have cost them that much money, but they didn't. Like, you can get into it, but you need to dial it back and come up with a way to get their attention. So, want to hear how my client is one, the one previously, instead of this, do this, or do this instead, any variation of that. Here is a huge mistake. We talked about that one first. Another one, guys, for you is, if you want X, then do X, and then get into it. So if you want X, I'm going to need you to do this. If you want to be able to buy next year, you will need to do this. Okay. Again, that won't connect with everyone, but everybody out there, and there's got to be a decent amount of people that are hoping to buy in the next 12 months. You're telling me they need to do this one thing, they're listening. Right? Instead of, here's a tip for how to do this better. That could work. It's just not strong enough. Are you seeing that distinction, Kasha?
Yep. You got to grab their attention. It's usually like fear. If you install a little fear, like, oh my gosh, I don't want to make it, like you said, a mistake. Or something really interesting. People, like you said, love story and humanity. So I think all of these topics fall into those slaps.
Be there, Kasha?
Yep, I
There
hear
you are.
you.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. You froze for a quick second there. All right. The ones that are working, guys, for me, the best. Those are some general ones in terms of like how to dispel or how to inform people. Here are some ones that I'm finding as of late, recently, and these are hot off the press, if you want to say that. I'm using them now, that are really working well, because these especially tie in well when you want to pass your opinion. Remember, if I go back, I can present not only the solution, but I can also present my opinion. There's a form of content I did a while ago, for those of you that follow me, where I talked about 1031 exchanges, but I made it really compelling. And how I opened that piece of content, which I'll show you guys in a little bit, was I talked about the president. And I said, is President Biden trying to wreck the real estate market? That got people's attention, instead of, I want to discuss 1031 exchanges, which is like the most boring and mundane topic when it comes to real estate, right? But actually having that, and then at the end, what I did was I actually presented my opinion. I think this will be a terrible idea, and it would be bad for the industry to eliminate the 1031 provision, which I think we all can agree on. But again, it's my opinion. I don't know what's going to happen. So don't feel like whatever you present at the end, or how you button things up, has to be in the form of fact. Sometimes it can be your opinion. And for that, here are some of the frameworks I'm using for more opinion-based solutions or videos where you want to pass your judgment on it. And I encourage everyone to do it, because it's important for us to stand for certain things or have an opinion, instead of just being passive all the time and neutral. Like, don't be afraid to put a flag down on the ground that, here's my opinion on this. Be careful, of course, with who you alienate. I'm not saying get into politics. Sometimes people think opinion, politics. No, I don't want to do that. No, you can have an opinion on a certain piece of legislation, or a certain idea, or a trend that's going on in the neighborhood or your city or market. You can have an opinion on that. So here's one. I was shocked when I saw this. We're going to listen, right? I was shocked when I saw this. Okay. Here's a shocking bit of news. Like, using the word shock, sometimes you can actually use the word that actually describes or calls out the emotion that you're hoping to evoke. I'm trying to shock this person, so why don't I just use the word shock, right? So I was shocked when I saw this, has been working well. Hopefully you guys wrote that one down. I can't believe this. Okay. Another one. Again, because again, I'm about to pass my opinion on something, or this will be an opinion piece, but I can't believe this is happening, right? Where maybe it's something to do with a certain trend in your market, whatever it is, but I can't believe this. Another one in the form of a question. Is this really happening? Okay. Actually saying that. Kasha, are these sticking? And you
Yeah.
notice these are a little different. These aren't like everyday hooks that we hear all the time. I'm just finding from my own personal experience, guys. And look, I'm not the authority on any of this stuff, guys. I'm only just sharing stuff that because I'm a student of this, just like Kasha is, and just like your whole team is. I study this stuff all the time and I try different things. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. I encourage all of you, try things out. It's not always going to work. It's not always going to be a hit or something that penetrates. Sometimes it doesn't, but you'll never know unless you try. And it's good from a personal growth and a human level to try different things and not take it as rejection if it doesn't work, but just take it as, okay, I need to sharpen that or evaluate it or get a little bit better. So all these new ones I'm sharing with you are stuff that I've recently tried and I've had some success with, and that's why I want to share them with you guys. But I encourage you, try different things out on your own or take variations from what I'm sharing. Kasha, anything on that?
Just a reminder that the platforms constantly change. So,
Yes.
some of this stuff may work today and tomorrow they're going to shift their algorithms or whatever it may be. So just keep that in mind. It's, ever flowing, and not to be so overly consumed on, how many followers or likes you may have, because you may actually be showing up in people's feeds in other ways. So just don't get discouraged. You need to try it.
Yep, definitely. Absolutely. Those guys, I would say, like in terms of the actual surprise element or like being shocked, like some of these newer ones, is this really happening? I can't believe this. I was shocked when I saw this. Another one, guys, here's what really pisses me off about our industry. Okay. Now, some might say that's going negative. What I'm doing, I'm not a negative person. If any of you know me, I'm
So,
not negative at all, but I'm tapping into people's addiction to negativity right there, right? Because everyone wants to know what pisses everyone off, because most of society, sadly and unfortunately,
yeah,
walks around 24 hours a day pissed off at something. So
they
why
feed
not
off
tap?
of it.
What's that?
They feed off of negativity
They
more than
do.
positivity. So
It
yeah,
sells, right? Bad news
yeah.
sells. That's what media does. They want clicks. It's a game. So I'm just playing a little bit of it there, right? By just saying, like, here's something that really pisses me off. Here's what I can't stand about our industry. Here's what is annoying me the most about this market. I'm coming right out and saying it, and then I'm going to tell you what it is, and then maybe even offer a solution. So instead of, that actually happening, here's what I choose, or here's what I prefer to do instead, or here's what I think other people should do. So don't be afraid to kind of be a little bit more opinionated and strong. Now, some of those, and I shared them second, because they might kind of come as a level 2 for some of you. For those that are just getting started with this, I think you stick with a lot of that dispelling stuff, or stuff that clarifies or addresses a certain point. Here's a huge mistake. Instead of this, do this. If buying a home is a goal of yours this year, then you must do this. You must consider this. Like, you're giving advice. You're not trying to take a polarizing stance. But for some of you that have maybe done this a little bit and you want to mix it up, and you're feeling like, you want to loosen it up a little bit, don't be afraid to, like actually get a little bit more opinionated with stuff and use some of those shocked and surprised, or throw the actual word or emotion you're hoping to evoke into what you're actually saying. Anything else on that, Kasha, or other questions?
We had a question here. So I know in your statements you were saying if this, then this.
Mm-hmm.
They're asking, would you just want to say you want to do this?
Totally. You want that can be more direct. Again, there's variations to it, right? So I did one, it was probably my best performing video, which I might be able to pull up and then just show it to you guys. I'll pull it up here online and see it. And it was about FHA loans, right? And I was just talking about how people can rinse and repeat the FHA model of buying, staying in it for a year, and then rent it out and then repeat. And it doesn't have to necessarily be an FHA loan. But I said, if you want to be a millionaire in X number of years, then here's how you do it,
Mhm.
right? So you can say that way, because I basically talked about a strategy that over 6 years, you can acquire 5 properties if you do this and follow it. And again, it's not the gospel of what I'm sharing. It's certainly not misleading at all. It's actually accurate. Is every single person going to do it? No, but I'm trying to evoke curiosity and spark some optimism and create opportunity for people and get them to think a little bit differently. So to answer that question, if you want X, then do this, or you could just jump out. How did you say it, Kasha? Or how was that question phrased?
Um, so instead of saying the if, then you just start with you want to do this.
Totally. That's more direct too,
Yeah,
right? You can
yeah,
say it that way also. If you want this or you want to do this, you're going to want to hear this, right? Now,
yeah.
I will tell you this for some of you, and this is a little bit more advanced, but I don't think it'll confuse anyone. Adding a sub hook or an additional hook somewhere in the actual video early on is not a bad idea if you're really trying to hold people's attention. And here's what you do. So if I was actually sharing something with somebody of, so suppose like the FHA example, right? If you want to become a millionaire in 6 years, then you're going to want to do this, right? And then as I get started, I might say the first thing, you can use an FHA loan to do this. Now, Pay attention till the very end of this video because the last piece I share is actually the most important.
Mm.
Now I've told you, okay, I've got to stick around, right? So for those that were interested, I'm almost re-hooking them and saying, stick around till this. Or if it's a 4-step thing, here are the 4 things you're going to want to pay attention to in this market, and listen for number 3 because it's actually the most important, or listen to number 3 because it'll actually shock you. So you're telling people you got to stick around to the end until you actually get this, you get this piece or this bit here. Otherwise, it's just not, you're not getting your money's worth out of the piece of content. So you can throw in a sub hook to keep people in. Once you've got them in the door, if you want to kind of shut that door behind them to make sure that they stay in, you can throw in a sub hook. Does that make sense, Kasha?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I don't, we've got 13 minutes left to the top of the hour.
Yep.
I want to make sure that we have enough time to.
Yeah, I was going to jump right into this actually.
Yeah.
So here's something I want to do, guys. Give me 1 sec here. I want to go through escape. Okay. Let's do this. Everybody, for the actual voiceover, and thanks for checking me on time there, Kasha, so that we can jump into the actual tactical stuff. I want everybody to, I'll share my screen again real fast. Okay, I'm using here, so you guys see it. This is my brother, Neil, who's incredibly influential. He's just a really good example of this. This concept right here, I'm going to click on this. You see what's going on here? Okay, so this was a dinner that we were all at in Dallas. There was my brother there. He cut me out of the video. I'm actually right here to the left, right there on my phone at the bottom, but he didn't want me in it for some reason. But that guy in the hat there in the middle is Gary Vee. So this was a big dinner we had with Gary Vee in Dallas, and he was talking about it. Now, he just basically took video, panning the room, or had somebody do it while he was talking, and then he put some text over it, literally, and just posted this as an actual reel. Now, the reel is only what? This is maybe 5 or 6 seconds long, which means it has a very high completion rate. If you watch it till completion, that really scores your content higher, which is why I say shorter is better. You've got a lot better odds of getting more people completing or getting through the majority of a video if it's 15 or 20 seconds long, as opposed to 90 seconds, because only your mother, and even mine doesn't watch all mine till the end. Only your mother might watch the full 90 seconds, but everyone can quickly, almost by accident, complete this video. So you see how this video is going to have a much higher completion rate, which is very, very important. There's no hook in it. There's no voice. So for those of you like, I don't know what to say, today is going to be your day. All you're going to do, literally, I want everyone to just take out their phone. And if you've got Instagram, utilize it. If you don't, it's okay, because I'm just using that because it's my preferred preference. You could do this on any platform. If you were to take a video, whether it is of this webinar and you're actually just panning it, or it's a photo, it can either be an image or a video. And when I say panning as a technique, panning is just moving left to right. Okay, that's it. That's all you see how that's happening here. There's a little bit of photography help for everyone. And the cameras on your phones, guys, are incredible machines. You do not need a fancy camera or a piece of equipment. These phones, some of the best cameras in the world. So you already have all the tools you need. Literally panning. I don't need to be dressed for this. I don't need to do anything. Great ways of doing this, guys. If you're on a flight, you see people do it all the time. Some image of you out the window, not you out the window. Don't go out the window. Of out the window at the wing as it's kind of passing through the clouds. Maybe flying over a certain city. Maybe there's a beautiful scene on your street, right? Or you're just walking down and there's trees on all sides. It's a beautiful street and I'm just walking for about 10 seconds. I always keep a bunch of these videos just handy because I can do a text over these anytime that something comes to mind and I want to just mix it up. So this is something everybody can do, even walking through a house. It doesn't have to be any particular house, but you just could be an open house, or if you're touring with clients, if you have an assistant or a team member and you're ever walking and showing clients something, have them do the same thing, just kind of following you for a quick second. Have them do that following you because there's great context around you being in the piece also. Just like in Neil's case here, it says, reminder, one good connection can change your life forever. Never underestimate the power of networking. He's in the video. He's right there where it starts. So this is great, but you don't have to be. And then all he's done is literally gone to his phone. Everybody take your phone out, take a quick video of something. Even just for now, for purposes, it could be this screen. If you're sitting out in front of a great window or a cool street scene, take a quick image of it. If you go to Instagram and you've got it open and you actually click on, if you open it up, there's a plus bottom at the very bottom. You see the home button, the search button, plus the reels, and then maybe your icon. Everyone sees that? Or you see it, Kasha? You're going to have to answer for everybody here.
Yep.
Okay, hit the plus button. And then you basically have the option of doing a post, a story, or a reel. Now you can do either of these. Stories are great for it also. This is the easiest way. So everyone click story. If you click
Remind
story,
everybody that what story is like in the moment right now,
yep,
something that's not going to be relevant tomorrow or next
correct.
week, right?
That's a
So
great summation. Yep, it's not relevant next week. Just something I wanted to share. You could do either or, you could do both. So
Yep.
the story is just the easiest way. The icons are right there. They try and make this easy for everyone to be able to do within the platform because remember, Instagram wants you to be on this platform. It's how they make money because they can advertise to you this way. So they want to keep you on this thing. So it's not designed to be complex and go over your head. You just need to practice with it. You can literally type up this text that you want by clicking the actual type button at the top, the letters, start typing away. You can move, you can put a border around it, whatever, and set it. If you want to add music to it, you can add music by hitting the music icon. And the music library is very robust. Now, if you don't see the music icon, you need to change your account to what is called a creator account. A creator account will give you access to the full library of music, and you can do that in the actual settings or your account type, right? So everybody who's in real estate should have a creator account. Another quick thing for you all as a tactical takeaway, nobody should have their profile set to private unless it's your private profile. If you're a figure of real estate or lending, your platform needs to be public where people can see it and they're being inundated by your content. If you have a private account, nobody outside of your followers will ever see your content, and that's defeating the purpose. We want to connect with those strangers, those people that are going to do business with us a year from now. Okay. Let me see here. A lot of the text over, okay, I know one other question that I know may come up. Where, and Kasha, we talk about this, where do we kind of splice in personal, family elements versus all business, right? If you notice on mine, guys, you'd know a little bit about you'll definitely know a lot about my family if you follow my stories, because I splatter my kids, my daughters in them all the time. They're photogenic and they love being on camera, and it's just, they're adorable. So I like sharing them just like everyone loves sharing their dogs or their kids or whatever. Some of you don't like your kids. It's okay. You can still share. But every once in a while, there'll be a little bit of a sprinkle in it here. This was on Father's Day. So I included the photo of this, but it's not an everyday thing. So my suggestion and advice to people is when it comes to personal, sprinkle it in here and there, but have some context for it, either because it's around a particular holiday or maybe it ties into something you did, the home you bought for them, right? Maybe you moved yourself and you're like, look, I not only do this for clients, I got to do it for myself this month. You know, we moved, we got our home. We're so excited. Now my children have this, you know, real estate's important. So then you can tie it that way. But otherwise, your content should be very clearly as an educational platform. Like people can go to this and see that this is about, I'm talking about regrets in real estate, blame the rich, controversial topic, affordability in general, right? NAR lawsuit, why you need an agent, new wave of inventory or new inventory wave. Like there's information here that's actually going to apply. So the text over, going back to it, last bit here, for everyone to do this. Here's another one he does or did, right? Simple. Some basic music just played in the background, very easy to do, and he did this as an actual feed post. You can do either or just using that plus button. You get to choose reel or story. I want everyone to just make this one promise today that you'll do one of those today or both. Even if you decide to delete it or take it down, you at least just tried it. And then you're like, okay, I'm going to go do some serious ones now. Let me go get some actual cool imagery. And I don't want it to be of my messy desk here because they asked me to do this exercise in real time. But I want everyone to be able to do this because this is something you can start with right away. And if you're wondering, what do I talk about? You can tie it to anything. If it's coming through a home, maybe it's talking about that, look, it's a lot more possible than you might think. Don't say call me or whatever. Just leave them with that inspiration, right? And in this case, you're one fuck it, let's try it away from changing your life, which is such great advice. And I hope everyone here says, F it. I'm going to try this social media stuff because it might actually change your life. Like take the risks and do the things that you're more afraid of. So that's it on the actual text and voice over an actual image or video. It can be a photo, it can be a video that you save, but constantly just be banking these. Kasha, does that make sense?
No, I think that's great. And you're basically saying that content is all around you. It's
Yes.
whatever, like you're at an event, you're at a work function, you're at home, it's family life, it's, you're out the gym, whatever it is. Take an opportunity, like Arjun is saying, if you're somewhere, cool, you could also do a quick real, video of it. And then you get inspired and then you've got a video that you can put with your inspirational quote or whatever it may be. Um, one question that was in there was about kids. And so if you're blending your personal and your business, like what's the risk, right, of having your kids on social media? I think
It's a personal choice.
it's a personal choice. We've talked about this before. You could do it, to your discretion. You don't have to do it. Like, if you have animals or if you enjoy a hobby, like I enjoy gardening, I'll post about my garden, or I enjoy baking sourdough bread. You never know like what interests others that may share with you. You don't necessarily have to share your family and kids if you're not comfortable with that.
Yeah.
So that, I mean, and if you start sharing a story, I feel like that's a 24-hour period that's less lived versus an actual reel or post that's actually on your page and they can go to it and reference it at any point. I think there are some like guardrails around like stealing images or something like that you have to set up on your profile. You can do that if you feel, you get to that point. But it's all content is all around you. And you just have to decide to do it, right? Pull out your phone and take the video. Hopefully everyone did that today. I'm going to go out and start following and looking and see what everyone's posting on their stories and posts today. I'm hoping that, you're getting educated about social media or, learning more about your craft, whatever the post may be, like, share it.
I got
And then,
one last thing I want to quickly share with everybody, which is
yep,
like fast topic. I'm going to do this in like 90 seconds starting now, of news hacking. News hacking is really critical, and this
yep.
is a great way to take what's going on and don't have to reinvent the wheel and actually comment on it. If you go to your phone, guys, go to any news publication. Doesn't matter right now. I typed in CNN by accident. The first article that pops up, I'm going to click on it. Okay, this is not getting political, guys. I promise you I'm not doing it. It's just the first one that pops up. I take a screenshot of the article that popped up, which is Democrats see today as make or break for Biden's political future. Okay, screenshot. It just did that. I'm going to quickly trim it. I'm going to open it up in my phone and quickly trim it so that it's like I cut off the border, maybe just focus on that. The next thing I'm going to do, save that image. I'm going to actually record a video, go into my camera, record a video selfie style, and leave a little bit of room to the left where I can drop this image and put it in here. And I'll point to it, right? You might have to practice this a couple of times, but you'll get the cadence and the spacing you need. Hey guys, this article just came out on CNN. I want to share with you why I think this is BS. Or I want to quickly share with you guys why this is important or what you should pay attention to. Just really quickly doing it. Point to it. Save it. Now, go into the phone, hit that plus button again, do stories, click on the video of you, and within the video in the menu, there's a whole bunch of options. You can click on the button that says photos. That photo or that image that you just saved and cropped will come in there and you can shrink it down or expand it, drag it with your finger and place it. Now you've got a video, hit post.
And that's called the green screen effect. And I know that sounds very intimidating to do. We did that kind of for this promotion for this social media. We'll record something for you guys and share it internally at Sierra if you're interested in that. But that is a very cool new feature. To Arjun's, I think you should go out and start following these different publications. I think like for housing, go to Housing Wire. They have daily news feeds about everything that's going on and interesting, and it could resonate with your clients and real estate partners. So that's just one good example of, Housing Wire has something every day that they post.
Look, in terms of just craft, guys, and why we need to be good at what we do, CNBC I go to every morning, I watch or read through it and just see if there's articles in there because there's great articles that I'll news hack. Housing Wire, as Kasha said. The other one I think everyone should subscribe to is called The Hustle. It's a newsletter. You get it daily. It's just thehustle.co. If you just subscribe to it, it's free. It's a 5-minute brief on everything going on in business and tech and markets in a kind of sometimes entertaining way to understand it. But if you do this, you'll find that you've got more than enough information to news hack, that'll equip you for conversations you're going to have later that day, stuff that you might want to share in your stories because you just want to comment on it or share. But hopefully that quick little news hacking strategy of just taking the article, cropping it, and then pointing at it and talking about it, easy to do. Super, super easy to do. And if you don't want to have your face in it, just do the voiceover and have the image be there and have your voice actually just be playing. I don't recommend it, but that's a good way for you to start. So those two takeaways are what I want everybody to be able to implement today.
And the other cool thing, the green screen, you can make yourself as big or as small as you want. So I did a video and I was like teeny tiny. I didn't put my hair makeup up and I just made myself, I was just like in the corner, right? And so the main object of the video was the background, but I was still in it. So it's a really cool feature, guys, you go try it out. There is one more question, Arjun.
Yes.
How many
I'll answer
short
as many
form
as you want.
videos, how many short form videos do you do a week?
5 a week that get posted. So I think, look, guys, whatever you want to do, you just have to be consistent with it. If you post one video a week, you better post one video the next week. You can't go to 0. That's your baseline. If you do 2 a week, 2 is your baseline. You better do 2 next week. If you up to 3, that's your new baseline. Whatever you do, just do it consistently because that's the only way to break through. The platform will reward you for being consistent.
Yeah. The platform will also not look upon you very nicely if you stop. So, you know, you got to keep up with the consistency, not only for your audience and followers, but also for the platform. Because then you'll start showing up in more feeds if you're more active. You may not have many followers, but you'll be showing up in everybody's feed. So
Totally.
that
It's a gym,
it's
guys. If you go to the gym a lot, you see people, you're being recognized, you recognize other people in classes or just working out on the floor. You also happen to get in better shape. If you go once a month and then skip so many times, like you're not making any connection there and you're also not getting in better shape. So it's just like a gym.
one last question I did want to ask is to the group, if anybody has ideas or future social media universities they'd love to see. So any topics you want us to cover, we are open to other ideas. We are going to probably schedule something for September. We're going to give August a break. We know kids are going to be going back to school. So end of summer vacations and whatnot. So our next social media university will be in September. That's still in the works. So if you have any topics you'd love us to cover with you guys, throw them in the questions or send us an email to spmmarketing@spmc.com and we'll see if we can cover that. I know we're 4 minutes over our June. Today has been wonderful. We
I'm
did
fine
get a
if you need me.
everyone loved this. The step by step, I think that's what's helpful, because if you're not actually physically doing something and you're just listening, it's kind of hard to go back and do it yourself. One more. So how do you create these short forms for LinkedIn? The software isn't built in. Is there a specific software to use to make these posts with the words? So the captions. Captions app.
I have an editor. Now the LinkedIn stuff, you can shoot vertically the same way you would for any platform. Vertical is this, guys, horizontal is this. So vertical is long, like what we see in Instagram or Facebook or TikTok. It's kind of longer and it's more narrow. And the horizontal is like what you see in YouTube. And also LinkedIn's optimized for horizontal as well. You can shoot, you can figure out and just get like a little tripod. There's lots of different ones and good lighting, but you can find a tripod that just off Amazon where you can set it up horizontally to shoot this. And then you can find an editor on like pretty much anywhere online. I think one thing we should do, Kasha, just so that there's like, because it's hard to find, as you know, trustworthy editors and like stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I think if we connect, you and I connect, I think they're editors because there's like now like a factory of them that I utilize. And then also you guys have like access to Shreddit.
Shred it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Totally.
Shred it
They
media.
can edit for you. Now I don't know if Shreddit does anything in horizontal. You guys want to find out. If for any reason they don't, let me know and we'll find someone that we use and just give them to the company so that people can actually reach out to them because at least you know they're trustworthy. But that is the answer to how you get the words on the captions on there and just the simple cleaning up of the edits. And it may not cost you a lot per video, but if you're going to do at least like 1 or 2, for LinkedIn a month, then that's a good way to go about it.
Yeah, there is a caption app. So I believe you can download the app. There is a small fee. We sent that in the marketing minute recently. Then you upload your video and it does the captions for you. So there is that option. It's a small fee. And then like Arjun was mentioning, we do have a discount with Shredded Media for they will edit and do the captions for you. We can share that discount code again with you through our next marketing minute. But yeah, so if there's anything else you guys want to see, let us know. I think today has been fantastic. I love getting into the tangible takeaways. Everyone get their videos. Make sure you got your videos or your picture so you can post it on Instagram, Facebook. Yep, I got to do
I'm
mine
doing
too.
mine too.
Can't
No,
forget.
reach out with questions or anything anytime, guys. I'm always happy to help or, check back in with everyone who puts these great events on, for the company because they're a great resource. But just take the action, no waiting around. You already told you what's not working. What's not working is sitting on your hands. You got to do something, right? And just start. Try things out. You'll mess some certain things up. You might say, "Oh, I'm afraid I'm going to suck," or You will. It's okay, right? No one's good at it right away. It takes time. We're all just evolving, but don't be afraid anymore because your business, your brand, your future self is kind of counting on you at this point. So we have to do this.
I'm trying, there's one more question here. I'm not sure I understand it, so I'm just asking. They wanted something to show again about the news thing. I think the news hacking.
News hacking?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So technically, even though it like kind of ties into green screen effect, it's not a full-on green screen effect because you're actually just like adding an image. So was the question more about how to, or like
Yeah,
maybe slowing that down? Because I know I did it in like 90 seconds because I was trying
yeah,
to
yeah.
stick to
Probably
your
a little bit.
time.
How to.
How to? Okay. So again, and this is something I do regularly. When I scan news on my phone, if there's a good article, even if I find it on my computer, I'll go find it on my phone for the digital version, that's going to be smaller, and I'll screenshot the article. So where it's just the headline, sometimes I want the news publication to be for credibility to be listed at the top. If there's ads or something below, and then I'll crop it. So it just comes down. Now I've got this image. Save it. Then take your phone out, create some spacing. So suppose this is my camera angle. I want to do it this way to where I'm leaving all this space here. So I'll just use my phone and just kind of move myself to one side where I can leave space, or it'll be high and I'll point down, whatever it is. Maybe I'm down here and I want to point up here or here. Or if I'm over here, I want to point over here. Just make room within the frame to drop that image into it. Record the video on your camera. That's step 2. Save it, or just, exit out, just don't delete it. Now go into the actual application, Facebook, Instagram in this case, and click that you want to create something. Hit that plus button. And in the event, this is probably good for a story, but feel free to do it as a reel. It's totally fine, especially if you're getting going. Just try new things. Do it as a story. You've got this frame. Now, when you actually go to it, when you click on the top, you'll see an option that'll give you a host of other things that you can either add emojis, you can put in a poll question, you can put in all kinds of things, avatars, whatever, but you'll see something there that says photo or file. It's basically image. Click on that and it'll open up your camera roll, and probably right there at the top should be the last photo you manipulated, which was this image, that screenshot. Click on that and it'll probably throw it on this video big, like so it's covering my face right here. Then what I can do is use my fingers on the screen to shrink it down and move it. So I'm going to be over here and I'm going to move it right here. I might twist it and turn it so that it's here. I might even put it at an angle and expand it. And now here's the article. Here I am talking. And when I rehearsed it, I was pointing this way because I knew it was going to be somewhere in this area. And I tried. If I don't like it, I can redo it again. Okay. You might have to take a couple of takes, but you'll get the hang of it. I probably redid the first few of these a bunch of times. Now I just know where my spacing is and where I ultimately like to shrink it down to because I'm comfortable doing it. But practice that today. I promise you, if you do it once or twice, you'll find it. And I guarantee you, you'll feel like you just solved one of the greatest mysteries in the world. Like it'll feel that relieving that you're like, whoa, I did it. And then you can do this all the time. Do one of them a day. Hack the news every day. There's plenty of articles out there. There's plenty of stuff going on. We need to comment on it because if we just sit back and sit quiet, we are doing our clients and the market a huge disservice because all of this crap is negative. Most of this crap doesn't even apply, and most of this crap is completely inaccurate. So we have to clarify it. So be the authority and jump in there and clear this up for people and do them all a favor because they'll start looking to you as this information authority, and it's going to really build trust. It's going to really build credibility, and ultimately, this is how you're going to get more clients from this all.
Love it. Thank you so much for going over. The audience says this has been wonderful. Okay. Well, guys, I hope to see everyone online, and I want to see your your posts and your videos. But stay tuned for our next Social Media University in September. And thank you so much, Arjun, for spending the hour and 11 minutes with us today.
Anything for you guys. I love you all. And I really love doing all this stuff with you. So I just want to help. So
Awesome.
everybody do it. Take
Okay.
action. Do it. Do it. Do it. Okay.
You
Bye,
don't, somebody
guys.
else will.
That's right. Don't forget it. Write it down. Bye, guys.
Bye.